Hello, and thank you for joining me. So last week, as I was watching the election results come in, I couldn't help but keep thinking about trust. Now don't worry, I'm not going to go into my own political views here or opinions, or at least I'm not intending to. But as I watched the Conservatives lose 251 of their 372 seats, including 12 cabinet ministers, and seeing what had previously been huge majorities and historically safe Tory seats being overturned, I kept thinking this was a result of trust. Equally, as I watched the SNP all but get annihilated, losing 39 of their 48 Westminster MPs, I kept coming back to the same thing: trust. We know how important trust is in the workplace. It forms the foundation of Patrick Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of a team. According to Lencioni, trust is the most severe dysfunction that a team can have. Without trust, productive work and growth are almost impossible. Team members spend their time and energy protecting themselves or undermining each other instead of focusing on the work and the goals of the team. If we look at the SNP, then they've been besieged by a string of scandals, whether it be Nicola Sturgeon deleting every WhatsApp message she sent and received during the pandemic, or her arrest alongside her husband following a probe into the SNP finances. Trust has been eroded. A Norstat poll found that the majority of Scots no longer trusted Sturgeon, and this, in my view at least, must have contributed to the terrible election results the SNP had. If we consider them the Conservatives, there's a wealth of evidence of the Boris Johnson government repeatedly undermining their own lockdown rules, whether that be Westminster parties or Dominic Cummings travelling to Bernard Castle to test his eyesight, ignoring Priti Patel's bullying allegations, or Liz Truss's spectacular failure of a budget. Trust in the Conservative government was eroded, and again I think this must have directly impacted their election performance. However, if this is the case, then how did Reform UK do so well when Nigel Farage is seen by many as far from trustworthy, yet seemingly he is capable of rallying a huge backing and securing over 14% of the votes? I guess the same could be said to even a greater degree in the US about Donald Trump, seen by many as a downright liar, but who's been caught out time and time again, yet whose base will back him and support him seemingly through any controversy. Charles Green wrote about his trust equation. According to the model, the trust equation is built on 3 variables: credibility, reliability and intimacy, which increase people's perceived trustworthiness, but which can all be undermined by a 4th variable, self-orientation. People's trustworthiness appears or increases if they appear credible, if they're competent and capable and qualified, if they're reliable, they do what they say they're going to do, and if they invoke feelings of emotional security or intimacy. These factors can all be adversely impacted if someone is perceived to have high self-orientation, i.e. they appear selfish and in it for themselves. I think that perhaps why Trump and Farage do well with some voters is that last factor, because they appear, to their voters at least, to care about their problems. They speak their voters' language and appear to pay attention to them and their issues. They put things in the voters' frame of reference. So the fact that voters believe that they are speaking to them and their issues means they trust them, regardless of what others would perhaps perceive as a lack of credibility and reliability. For me, trust is fundamental, but it is fickle and fragile. Trust can make or break relationships, build or destroy great companies, and seemingly overturn governments. Thanks for listening. Have a fabulous weekend.